Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. So, I'm reluctantly making this video, but it keeps kind of cropping up in the back of my head, so I did want to make it. Um, if you haven't heard, on March 6th, so 2 weeks ago or so, um, David Paul from the Barbarian brothers sadly passed away. Um, I'm a fan of David and Peter Paul's work. If you don't know who they were in a bunch of movies back in the 80s and early 90s, such as The Barbarians, which got them pretty popular. Think Big, Double Trouble, Twin Sitters. They sort of went in a less action oriented, more comedic roles where it was like them babysitting two twin children, or, there's always like hijinks ensuing and goofy things happening. Their first movie, which I own on DVD, which just got announced for a Blu-ray, is DC Cab, which is a great movie about these cab drivers. Everyone is really off the wall. This is back when you can have racy humor without being called a racist, and all the characters are funny, and Gary Busey's in it, and the Barbarian brothers are in it, and Mr. T. It's a great movie. If you like old comedy, and I think it was done by, if I recall, Joel Schumacher of Lost Boys fame. I could be wrong on that, but Joel Schumacher. So anyhow, I was very sad to hear this. Usually I don't get very invested in celebrities, but when it's someone who hasn't been around for a while in terms of being popular, that maybe I didn't necessarily grow up on them. I knew about them as a child and a teenager, but I didn't really watch a ton of things. I saw DC Cab. I saw The Barbarians, which I loved. I really want to pick up that Blu-ray from Spain, which is region-free and has English in it. However, it's like $20 to $28 on eBay right now, so trying to wait for maybe a coupon or something to come out. Just a little too expensive, but it's like a goofy version of Conan. Anyhow, months back, I had a couple conversations with my buddy Tom at Tattoo Frenzy in Amityville. He's the owner and artist, one of the artists at the shop. And, we were talking about the Barbarian brothers, and my friend Jessica and I both liked them, so we were talking about them. And I just went through a quick, session of watching The Barbarians and Think Big and Double Trouble and Twin Sitters. And most of them are on YouTube, or you can find them in other ways on the internet. So I was able to stream them to my TV, things like that, because none of these really, besides DC Cab and The Barbarians in Spain, the Blu-ray, got DVD releases. They're all VHS quality, or someone recorded them off their television and then uploaded them. So it's a little difficult to find actual physical media of these movies. I'm not a digital fan. Plus, I don't really know if they have them digitally. But it was sort of a sad thing to find out that David had passed away. I'm friends on Facebook with both Peter and David, and David, in the past few, years, had become a really great carpenter who was building, things from found wood that were gorgeous. Just the walls were wood, the floors were wood, the tables were wood, the chairs were wood. It looked almost like a cabin. I think he was building, if I remember correctly, it was either an ice cream shop or some kind of tavern out of all found wood for someone, and it was phenomenal. I would love to have something like that in my house, whether it be a room looks like that or the whole house, whatever. It was a very weird, distinct look, but very, very interesting. It looks like David and Peter never really forgot their, acting roots or bodybuilding roots, because they were both thin now, but they're both still were in very good shape. They were thin but tight. They had muscles still. They weren't just frail and thin looking. Peter has gotten very, very religious, and a lot of the videos he's put up are him talking for long periods of time about God and Jesus, and how, from what I'm gathering, he feels that, and I'm not mocking this, everyone's entitled to their own opinions. He feels that the Holy Spirit, or God, is within him, and he's espousing, the knowledge. So he does a lot of dancing and talking and yelling and all types of stuff. It's in the middle of like colleges, like in terms of out out in front of the campus or out in the woods. He films himself doing it. He's an interesting character. I don't know much about him otherwise, but David and I were friends on Facebook, as I said, and as I said, he in my opinion, they didn't lose their love for acting in some regard because they were filming a movie that had gotten complete called Faith Street, excuse me, Faith Street Corner Tavern, which starred them and their friend John DeRoe, who I've spoken to a little bit on YouTube, and I believe it was being produced by David and a gentleman from England who's now in New York named Peter Lupi, who I wanted to get in touch with to see if there was a way to see this movie because I think it was created, but they didn't raise enough funds to actually put it out there, DVD, Blu-ray, streaming, nothing like that. Besides, I think they did some like indie like festivals and events where they did like showings, and it got very good reviews. Supposedly, it's a little bit of a poetic, otherworldly kind of dream-like movie. That's what I'm getting from the trailers and a couple scenes that I saw. I know Peter, the brother who is very big into religion, he talks a lot in the movie about God, and I know there's a character that thinks he's crazy in the film. So it does have some real life, things that it's pulling from. But either way, I really wanted to see Faith Street Corner Tavern, and I'm pretty disappointed that now that David has passed, I don't know if I will ever be able to see it. I guess when we were friends on Facebook while he was alive, I probably should have asked him about it. Maybe he would have, I don't know, sent me a digital copy to watch and review or something. But yeah, they're just interesting characters. I know this is different than what I normally talk about on this channel, but as I said, it's just been cropping up in my mind. I've always really appreciated their bodybuilding. They were always, another reason they always said they were like barbarians. They used to say they had this like barbaric technique in the gym. They weren't, very, I guess their form wasn't great. They would just like swing things around and lift things weird ways, but it worked for them because they were in amazing shape at the time. They did have a very interesting role that was cut from Natural Born Killers, the Oliver Stone movie, where Mickey and Mallory cut their legs off so they build up their bodies even better or something. It's this really weird scene where they're being interviewed by Robert Downey Jr. and they're saying how, they're grateful that they got their legs cut off by Mickey and Mallory, and that, it gives them drive to like further themselves and be better with just half their bodies. It was an interesting scene. Oliver Stone, I believe, said that he didn't put it in the movie or leave it in the movie because they overacted, because he kept telling them to act more and more and more, and they did it so much that it became almost like goofy in a way, like they were overacting, so he removed it. I personally like the scene. I wish it was in the finished product, but what do I know? Yeah, just, these are two guys that I think changed dynamics, and like I said, Peter got very religious, and David started doing the carpentry, and fell out of the spotlight. Meanwhile, they were huge in the 80s and early 90s. More, I guess, the late 80s with the Barbarians and such. But it's sad that they faded away out of the spotlight. We didn't really get to see much of them after that. I think they would have been great professional wrestlers. They had the look, and I think the body, obviously, and I think the personality was there. It was almost like a Jesse the Body Ventura type of personality, and David was very funny. I've watched interviews with him where he jokes around a lot. So I don't know, in regards to Peter, what he's going to do now. I know, as I said, he's kind of a colorful character and a little different. So I don't know how he's going to go on without his brother, who seemed to be a little bit more of the level-headed soul in the group. So that's kind of sad as well. I know that David had a friend, I think, who had purchased an old church for them that was really run down, and David fixed it all by hand, and Peter lives there. I'm not going to say where because, I don't necessarily want people like looking it up and harassing Peter, but I'm sure if you're from the area, you've probably seen him walking around and delivering his, religious, is it epithets, whatever the word is. So yeah, I kind of sad that, these guys, they weren't that old, or excuse me, they're not that old because Peter's still around, but David was not that old, and supposedly passed away in his sleep. He was 63. Peter had mentioned it online on Facebook, but he tends to kind of rant and talk in almost code. And Dave Palumbo, the bodybuilder, who I'm a big fan of, picked up on it and kind of told the world. And he was friends with David and Peter, and he was very upset by it as well. So, David, rest in peace. I hope that Peter is okay without you. He tends to say online that he can still hear David, I guess through God or through heaven, that he speaks to him still. So if he believes that, then I'm glad at whatever gets him through, honestly, because I was a twin and my brother didn't make it. And this sounds kind of, I'm not embellishing, even though I tend to do that a lot. My brother passed a few days after I was born, and your whole life you feel like a connection to something that's missing. It's kind of hard to explain. So I can't imagine going 63 years and then your brother passing away. Now you don't have him. It's probably a million times worse. So, yeah, that's it. I just wanted to talk about David and Peter Paul, the Barbarian brothers. As I said, I'm a big fan of their work and their movies, and maybe in some miraculous way I'll be able to see Faith Street Corner Tavern someday, but it doesn't look like it's going to be anytime soon. So rest in peace, David. Peter, I hope you are healthy and okay and healing. I don't have much else to say, but definitely check out some of their old films, especially The Barbarians, if you like things like Conan. Thanks, guys, for watching. It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good.